Amit Dev here, trying to get my day sorted really in my head. So I'm on the turbo trainer again. It's a Monday morning. It's always after my long run. I go straight on the turbo trainer just to keep the cadence going. It's going to be a really easy ride today. It's not going to be too strenuous because my legs are still hurting from yesterday, to be honest. To do this for today is packed as usual. So this is only really the time I get to do a bit of fitness. During the week, it's really is a struggle. So what I've tried to do is incorporate it into my lifestyle. Because before, what I used to do, which was totally wrong, was trying to have like a specific session for gym. So I used to go gym a lot before. Before I had, we had the little one. So I used to go gym. Used to spend hours in there doing whatever. No focus, no strategy. But it was okay because I had that free time to do it. But now, once you've got a family or you've got a proper demanding job or whatever you're doing in life, your passion projects or whatever you might be engaged in, it just becomes more and more difficult. Sorry, I got the sound up really high on the TV because I tend to watch that while I'm on the turbo trainer. I just realised how loud it is, but hopefully you can still hear me. Anyway, so in terms of trying to find a time, when you're that busy, you just need to incorporate into your lifestyle. So for me, the first session tends to be the longer training session. So on a Monday it's a turbo trainer, and I kind of switch it up on a Tuesday to a slow run, a 5k. So we'll do a 5k part of it anyway together tomorrow morning. And then I have a standing desk, and that seriously, especially during lockdown, that was a game changer for me because firstly it adds another 300 calorie burn, which is good. Every calorie burn is a calorie burn at the end of the day. And also, what I noticed is when I was sitting down, because obviously I don't have the office style chairs here at home, the proper ones, they're not as good. I mean, I've got an office chair, but it's just not as good as the one in our workplace. So that standing desk, sitting down anyway, what I realised is I used to get a lot of neck ache, a bit of backache as well. I was like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And after I converted to the standing desk, and the whole point of getting a standing desk was to get my steps up. Another thing I noticed working from home was my steps were like zero, like close to zero. Okay, they weren't completely zero, but they were like 100 steps. I was like, what's going on? It's because I used to work down here in the lounge, which is next to the kitchen, so I'd only take one or two steps to get my cup of tea. But then I changed and pick up. I went upstairs, formed a little study, and then the standing desk just enables me to move around. I don't get this neck ache or backache, anything like that anymore. Granted, the first 2 weeks you start doing the standing desk, you just checking my time because I do kind of intervals. I do sitting down on the bike, and then I get out the saddle, and I do a little bit of a pump. So anyway, in terms of the standing desk, it's just a complete game changer. You burn 300 calories, but it stops any type of cramps that you usually get. Like I said, the first 2 weeks are the hardest, but then you just get used to it. I tend to do around 5-6 hours, but you need to kind of, too much of one thing is a bad thing as well. So you want to be sitting down, standing up. So I've got this desk converter really. It's like a platform, so you can raise it to obviously form a standing desk, and you can lower it as well, so it becomes just a regular desk. And it's good to change in between. I do a few when I'm on my calls as well. You see me just walking around with my headset on. Well, I used to have a headset. Now I just have a microphone. But anyway, you catch my drift. You can just walk around, so you get more steps that way, get the circulation going. Sometimes do a few lunges as well between emails. It's a game changer because it just frees you up and gives you cues to do different things. So that's incorporated into my lifestyle now. So that's my 300 calorie burn. Started doing a bit of walking as well. So I'm on the school run, so my son's just having his breakfast just on behind my shoulder on the right there. And so I do a school run, dropping off. So after this session, We're gonna jump in the shower, and then we're gonna go for a little walk, and then obviously I have to pick him up on the way back, and then that's a little few steps there in terms of walking, and then in the evening I do a bit of yoga. And yoga I started similar time when I started that first mile run, which was about 2 years ago. And I'm just going over my little session here, but it's fine. So in terms of the yoga, I started that 2 years ago, and again, that was a complete game changer. I just realised how inflexible I am, and I think I discovered something that many people, many kind of established fitness people have discovered many years, many decades before me. But I realised that it's an efficient way of strength training. Now, people talk about yoga, and they talk about all the stretching and stretching out muscles, but really it is, if you do some of the poses, the difficult ones, it's a very good and efficient way of doing strength training. Because when you get to the advanced poses, it's not easy. It is not easy. It is taxing on the muscles. So I recommend it. Start off, again, like anything I say, start off in small steps. Just do one pose if you're going to start yoga. If I was to start with a pose, I would say just do downward dog. It's a hard pose, but it's kind of, well, I'd say it's a medium complexity pose. It's complex enough to keep it challenging when you first start it, but it's not too difficult where it's just impossible when you just give up. So start with downward dog and perfect that. It's hard in terms of trying to, because you need to look within. You need to understand your muscle kind of arrangements and which muscles you need to activate to get into the correct pose. And the main thing about downward dog is that's when you realise if you have overstretched hamstrings. And if you're an office worker like I am, or have been an office worker for many years without a standing desk, when you do a downward dog, you will realise how overstretched they are, because your legs, when you go to that position, it won't be straight like it should be. It'll be like I am, which is kind of bent like that. So, you know, it's one to definitely act as an eye-opener for you to understand where you are with your hamstrings. Because guaranteed, if you're an office worker, they're going to be overstretched. And that's when you need to realise and work on glute activation. So I've gone on to glute activation now. What I'm going to do, it's an important thing here. So as I'm on my turbo trainer, and as I'm pedaling at the moment, very lightly, like I said, it's just a light session today, but I'm activating my glutes, and it sounds like something so simple, but for many years I just wasn't doing it. I just didn't realise. That's why I just didn't have the understanding, that awareness of having to do that. And when you start activating your glutes, right, it releases the strain in your hamstrings. So what happened to me anyway is I had dominant hamstrings when I was running or cycling or whatever activity I was doing that involved lower body activation. So my hamstrings were dominant, which meant my glutes were basically asleep. And that was because, which I understand now from reading numerous articles, is a lot to do with, well, there's a correlation anyway, strong correlation with sitting down for long periods, i.e. office working basically. So it's just a culture we're in. You know, it's not really our fault. It's just we're in this culture, and this is what we're expected to do, or enabled to do even. So standing desk helped with that, but I also do some glute exercises, specific glute exercises. So I'm became quite conscious that during my turbo training sessions, my cycling sessions outdoors, or my running sessions, I activate my glutes. I actually do think I need to activate them. So it's quite an important one. I recommend you try that. So try that downward dog, test it out, and if your legs aren't straight like this, your hamstrings are probably overstretched, and you need to think about that glute activation. So I've created like a link tree in my bio. So there's only 2 links there, one to my Strava logs. If you're bored and you want to go through them, there's tons and tons of logs on there. I log everything fitness related. But there's a kind of featured article, I called it. I just wanted to bring it out from the other link. So I've dropped a link about this subject, about glute activation. So have a read of it. It changed my life, so hopefully it'll change yours as well. Anyway, guys, peace out. I've been Amit Dev, and keep on moving.